Hello, my name is Warped. Here's some background on my time with CK3 before I get into how CK3 Agot made me relearn how I was playing and made me fall back in love with it. I used to play CK3 all the time. When I first picked it up back in 2021 during the lockdowns, after one of my friends first had introduced it to me, I fell in love with it. And the mechanics and how it played, despite me being so awful at it. I kept making a 100 stat man named Caesar, who was a Hellenic Roman in all of my playthroughs, even in the multiplayer ones. But time and time again, I couldn't even figure out how to deal with rebellions. I would try and try for the life of me, despite having the best possible start in Italy, with how developed Rome is. I couldn't deal with present rebellions. I remember playing with my friend who was all the way in Scandinavia, playing as a tribal ruler. I remember having to ask him to help me defeat the 2k stack of peasants, because somehow I managed to get my 4k stack killed. Honestly, him having to come bail me out time and time again, because I couldn't figure out how any of the mechanics worked, must have been annoying, but I'm glad he put up with me. I was trying to learn how to play the game in the wrong way. I mean, technically, there is no wrong way to learn, but making a perfect character and not having to learn any of the mechanics to win wars is at least not ideal. I just couldn't figure out how the game worked. I had obviously a basic understanding of the toy army war unit system, but I just clicked and assumed that me having 100 stats would let me win a battle where I was outnumbered 3-1. I also fought in mountains with horses because I didn't think that the terrain would affect me because I had 100 stats, because of course. Eventually, I did get better at the game. If I'm being honest, took me about 150 hours before I stopped making the same mistakes again and again. I look back and I don't have any regrets over how I played in the past, because while I was learning, and we all start from somewhere, but man oh man, does it hurt looking at my save backlog from 2021, because it's just Caesar over and over again, repeating. But hey, who hasn't been there with CK3? Despite everything, I could actually say that I knew how to play it. Maybe not the best at it, but enough to enjoy CK3 for my purposes at that time. I remember my first truly successful game was in 1066. I had started as a count in Ireland, and I decided to swear fealty to William the Conqueror, which allowed me to, slowly scheme and make my kids married to, different members of the royal family. And, doing a sneaky little kill here and there allowed me to take the throne. That was, the first save that I had actually ended up being able to make Britannia. Hold that quite dear to my chest. You never forget your first empire title, am I right? In that save, I ended up actually managing to conquer most of France before falling to rebellion, and my kids died, and I died. Executions, war, murders, all the stuff that crops up that ends runs. But I didn't feel like I'd failed, unlike most of my other saves up to that point. I ended up burning out of CK3 and its content in maybe 2023. I just kind of felt like I achieved all there was to achieve, which obviously I didn't, but it felt like it. The new content was cool, but it wasn't enough more than trying it for 3 to 5 hours here and there. My last full playthrough of CK3, before I fully stopped playing, was Castile as King Sancho the Strong. It's a really fun start. If you haven't tried it, I really suggest doing it. The struggle's annoying, and if I'm being honest, not very baked. It's not a finished concept, but it's really cool to try out, and it's fun, which is maybe the most important thing, at least to me. You could get into how it's done and how Paradox's DLC practices are the best. I ended up playing until 1390 or so, because my computer at the time couldn't handle the game's increasingly worsening performance year by year, century by century. Which, by the way, if you want to fix that, and you don't know how to fix that, and you've got a shit box of a computer, I suggest the population control mod. It's saved a fair few of my saves, and it's genuinely an incredible mod. Props to the developer of it. Anyway, it just felt like there wasn't any more content to enjoy or play through. I mean, there's only so many times you can stare at the map in 867 or 1066 before your eyes glaze over and playthroughs merge together. I mean, I was stumped on what to do, so I stopped playing, at least for a while. It was quite a long time. It's like a year and a half. I didn't pick it up again until mid to late 2024 when I, had stopped playing in 2023. I decided I wanted to play a game with another one of my friends who's so deeply into the lore of Game of Thrones. It's honestly quite fun to listen to him rattle. I mean, I'm into the lore of a Game of Thrones, but man, he lives and breathes it. He was telling me how far the mod came, because I kind of gave it a small play in 2023 when it came out, and I thought it was cool, but that was all. I thought, because I moved on to different games, and as life happened, my priorities shifted, and I stopped playing CK. When he got me into playing Agot, it was quite a hassle to relearn the game with all the mechanics that were added with the DLCs, and the mechanics that got added in the mod itself, but two, just most importantly, it was rewarding. It felt like I was being rewarded for taking it slow and not rushing my gameplay. I mean, I used to just play in 5-speed. I rushed through as fast as possible, take the efficient decisions for the sake of improving my situation, my realm, making money, constantly going into stress level 2 when I had the greedy trait to make as much money as possible, and then kill myself after spending all my money and, getting rid of all my debt. But in Agot, it felt like I had time, a lot of time, just to sit, think, pursue my plans, but also do it in a way that was true to the character I was playing. I had recently, just before playing Agot with my friend, started playing D&D in person for the first time. I mean, I've played it. I played it online, but there's a sense of connection I hadn't had. I didn't really process the reason that you play properly, and I also DM'd, which, it's a different thing. Sorry, I just got lost. Let me think. And yeah, anyway, being there's a connection I hadn't had until that point when I saw people laugh as I made, when I made jokes, or I would do something that was so out of character. Sorry, not out of character, out of what I would do, the most efficient thing, but it's what my character would do. I was playing as a Warforged, and my character's whole point is that he didn't know what was wrong and what was right. He just knew what was programmed into him. So for him, we were trying to get this guy to talk to us, and one of my companions that I was playing with ended up mocking him in a weird way and just pretending like his life was useless and saying that because he had all this, it was worthless and he was foolish for all of his opinions. And he got hostile, and because he was hostile, I thought my character, to defuse the situation, I walked up to him and I attempted to kidnap him, but it wasn't kidnapping to my character, it was diffusing the situation, because to my character, he was the hostile one. Anyway, it was so fun. And you'd roll that one on a charisma check, and you'd have to stumble and doing things. It was so much fun. It taught me that doing things for bad for you, the player, isn't actually that bad, because it taught me that you need to do things that are good for the character, good for the story, good for the narratives. And I know you'll be going instantly, well, that's a common thought. Why hadn't you thought about it before? And the answer is, I don't know. I just kind of felt like the story didn't matter as much, and it was just a game of mechanical skill. This is about CK3. Because I had quite a competitive view on CK3, which isn't a bad thing. It's just for the average player, you just kind of run out of things to do, and the playthroughs all merge together. I had the skills from D&D, which ended up teaching me how to roleplay better, and taught me that narrative stories are just so much fun, especially in CK3. But most importantly, CK3 Agot, which had events woven into the gameplay itself. And it had You can make marriages after canonical characters. Certain characters would have event chains. If you were the Mad King in the Roberts Rebellion start date, can't remember the year, you could burn them all, or you could drink wildfire, and you could be insane, and it was so fun. But the thing is that having these events gave you a jumping off point, so that the game would set you up with a narrative before you had a narrative. So you didn't need to actually know how to make a story fun. Agot just was like, here's a story beat. Do what you will with it. Obviously, it only works if you play ball. If you don't play ball, you won't really have fun. Or you will. It's up to you. Anyway. When me and my friend were playing as, we were playing as Damon and Rhaenyra. I was the rogue prince, obviously. I mean, Damon lover for life. I'd conquered all the stepstones, and I was going to give it to Viserys. But he was just horrible to me. For some reason, the AI decided to be just so mean to me. And he tried to imprison me. And I said, nope, not dealing with that. And I left. And I went to Essos. And in Essos, I conquered. And I fought. I took the disputed lands and became king. And I kept going up north. But my friend ended up plotting as Rhaenyra, prepping for the dance. But I'd left, so I wasn't going to be in the dance. And the dance was violent, and it was brutal. It was one of the worst dances I've ever seen. I mean, most of the family was dead. His line was left, but a lot of his kids were dead too. Died in dragon battles. And by the time that he ended up finishing the dance, I had controlled all of Essos. And I started bankrolling him and giving him protection against future rebellions. Anyways, I feel like this video was just rambling, and it's not going to be understandable or intelligible. But I love CK3, and I love CK3 Agot. And I think if you're having any issues with CK3, and you had the same kind of mindset that I did, where you play competitive and you don't think about the roleplay, do a favor and just try. Load into CK3 Vanilla, go to 1066, click on Hispania, and play as Sancho the Strong. It's a very fun start. You're strong, but you have very clear character traits, so you could play to it. Anyways, thank you for listening to me ramble. I apologize for talking so much, and I don't know if it's intelligible. It'll be polished regardless. Anyways, thank you. Have a great day. Goodbye.